Story 1. Not being able to reach for my dreams because I was stuck in my comfort zone. I was too afraid to try and fail. And now I'm having so many what-ifs in life that I cannot answer either. Story 2. Fighting for a friendship that did not love me back the same. Loving someone too much and not being able to let go earlier. Dealing with letting go and proof that this person does not care about me terribly. Story 3. When I was in high school, I was having a pretty rough time at home. Long story, but essentially, I was abandoned by my abusive and addict mother and had to move in with my abusive and alcoholic father. I never said a word to my teachers or really to anyone for that matter. But I know at some point the school was notified as the police had gotten involved. As I said, it's a very long story. Needless to say, I was really struggling and could have easily slipped down a bad path. But I really think focusing on school saved me. I had one teacher in particular who never really acknowledged what was going on at home for me, yet made me feel like she was quietly there for me. She went out of her way to encourage me, to challenge me, to inspire me. She opened up my world with her many travel stories and gave me something to hang on to work towards. She cared deeply about social justice and ignited that passion in me too. During my last year of school, she started missing a lot of days, except for one class on a Tuesday afternoon that only myself and one other student were taking. It was a high-level elective. Eventually, a different teacher let it slip that she actually had cancer and was going through treatment. She was sick and didn't want us to know and was coming back to work purely for that class. I felt sick at that news, but as a 17-year-old, I don't think I realized she was coming back for me. I know it sounds cocky, but I really feel in my heart she didn't want me to feel abandoned when I needed her. She really cared about our grades and didn't want us to be disturbed by the news of her cancer. Eventually, at the end of the term, the other student and I wrote her a card, and she basically knew at that point that we knew about her cancer. We graduated and kind of fell out of touch apart from the occasional Facebook message and one coffee catch-up. She ended up passing away a couple of years later due to the cancer coming back. I went to the funeral with some other students. I know I thanked her for what she did for us, but I have a sense of dread that I didn't really thank her enough. I was so young and didn't fully grasp the magnitude of what she was doing. I know she saved my life, she influenced me, and made me a better person. I'd give anything to be able to sit with her and explain at length how much that meant to me and how much I carry her with me all these years later. If anybody has read this far, thank you. Even if one person reads it, I feel like I am sharing her spirit in a way. She was a beautiful person, and I wish terribly that I could have told her properly. Story 4. Going on vacation and leaving my recently sober twin brother at my house alone. I knew something was wrong when he would not answer the phone. Found him face down in my living room. It has been 9 months and I still cannot close my eyes without seeing my best friend alone on the ground. His phone was 2 feet away and he could not answer it because he was already gone. Story 5. I regret falling into the material consumerism trap. I wasted so much money, time, and energy on products that I didn't need only because I was convinced I had to have them. Stupid clothes, shoes, cars, TVs, etc. I worked so hard to be able to acquire things that I don't even remember now. I wish I had been wiser with my money. Story 6. Not getting a divorce sooner because I lacked the confidence in myself. Funny thing, confidence hasn't been an issue since. Turns out the marriage was the entire problem. Story 7. I really wish I had met my current wife a whole lot sooner. But on the other hand, neither of us were who we are. The time couldn't have been right until it was. Still, I wish I could have known her when we were younger. Story 8. I had a huge crush on a girl for 4 years. Never made it work. It was never the right time. She had a boyfriend, I was dating someone, something. Finally, I had given up. Then I found myself in the back of a cab with her. She insisted on me dropping her home first, even though her house was past mine. I had no idea why, and it kind of annoyed me. We got to her place, and she said, "Okay, we're here. How much is the cab?" and reached for her money. I said, "Well, only pay half. I'll pay the rest when I get home." She insisted on paying the whole thing and looked me dead in the eye, staring for 10 seconds. I said, "Fine, you pay then." She looked at me like I was an idiot and said, "Is that it? Are we done? I said, thanks. Night. And she got out of the cab. I was annoyed and went home, bothered by how awkward she was. It hit me about 6 weeks later. Confirmed with her best friend that she was interested. I think about it at least twice a week. Story 9. I neglected my studies. Pretty well-off family, but my parents worked abroad most of my life. I know I'm loved, but it's hard to appreciate what you can't see. Now that they are retired and are old, I wish I were much more successful so I could spoil them the way they spoiled me in their remaining years. I'm currently studying nursing and am almost done. I'm praying God will at least give me more than a decade so they can at least see me successful and so I can tour them abroad. I know their only worry is to leave this earth seeing I still can't stand on my own. I really want to give them that comfort that if they go, they know I'm going to be okay. Story 10. Not enjoying every single moment of living at my parents' house when I didn't have bills or a dependent to look after. Instead, I was so driven to move out. Oh, how naive I was. Story 11. Not killing myself in high school, I had the most drive to do it back then, and I let someone talk me out of it. Life never really got better. I just know that dying now will cause more problems for the couple of people I care about than it will solve. Story 12. Believing boys and men could be selfless and loving enough to want what was actually best for me, not just what was desired by them. Deep regrets in all the missed opportunities because of selfish guys. Story 13. I am in my 40s now. I have been in therapy and taking Zoloft for a couple of years. I really regret not starting in my 20s or even earlier. I could have saved myself a ton of anxiety and probably enjoyed life a lot more. Story 14. One of my biggest regrets is not taking more risks when I had the chance, especially in my career. I played it safe and missed out on some opportunities to grow and try new things. But I have learned that it is never too late to make changes. Story 15. I should have done something to anger my dad so that when he was abusing me and beating me, he just kept going and lost control and killed me when I was still little. I could have made fun of him, and he would have strangled me to death with his bare hands. Then he would have spent the rest of his life in jail, and I wouldn't have had to suffer like this every day. Story 16. Not having children, I cut the bloodline off on purpose. I would have loved to raise a family and think I would have been a good father, but I couldn't risk it. My dad was really crazy, and my mom, well, she tried. Story 17. Not practicing my conversation skills to feel comfortable talking to anyone and connecting with more people, having more quantity and quality different relationships. Story 18. I used to believe in God and karma, but I am glad I stopped now. As George Carlin once said, something is wrong here. War, disease, death, destruction, hunger, filth, poverty, torture, crime, corruption, and the ice capita. Something is definitely wrong. This is not good work. If this is the best God can do, I am not impressed. Results like these do not belong on the resume of a supreme being. This is the kind of thing you'd expect from an office temp with a bad attitude. George Carlin ***. It is so true. Look at how our world is currently right now. Powerful cartels and politicians with influential businessmen, bankers, and celebrities have been exploiting young kids, enjoying a good healthy life till today, while we citizens are suffering throughout the whole COVID pandemic till now with the rise of the cost of living. Also, to never believe in karma. I used to believe that because of what elders told me when I was younger, just to realize it is all rubbish and nonsense. This kind of life advice can just go away. In reality, money and power talk. It is a very unfair and cruel world. That is why there is no such thing as karma or justice. Ever heard of the saying or old adage, the good die young, and life is unfair? I have seen people who cheated in relationships, yet ended up getting married happily and enjoying it, while loyal ones got heartbroken and are trying their best to recover. I have seen people who are fake, cunning, belittling, and making fun of poor or unfortunate people, yet ended up doing extremely well in their careers as well as making lots of money. I might get criticism, but at the very least, I am being real and speaking based on real experiences from my own eyes. As the popular adage goes, life is unfair. That's why there are these quotes. Steal a loaf of bread and they hang you. Steal a land and they'll make you king. David Gemmell ***. The function of the law is not to provide justice or to preserve freedom. The function of the law is to keep those who hold power in power. Jerry Spence ***. Laws are spider webs through which the big flies pass and the little ones get caught. Honoré de Balzac ***. Life is a dream for the wise, a game for the fool, a comedy for the rich, a tragedy for the poor. Scholem aleichem hviezgichka. Story 19. My biggest regret so far is not speaking up more when I had the chance. I used to stay quiet in situations where I should have stood up for myself or shared my thoughts, and looking back, I wish I had the confidence to do that sooner. Story 20. Pick your battles with your mom. I would lose her to a brain tumor at 23, and a lot of the stuff I got mad about would later on seem really dumb. I don't think we regret apologizing. We do regret not apologizing more. Story 21. Regret often just reflects our desire for a perfection that never existed. Our mistakes shape us more than flawless choices ever could. Maybe we should regret less and learn more. What if our biggest mistakes are actually our greatest growth? Story 22. That's a hard one. I would say my student loans, but if I had not gone to college where I did, I would not have met my husband, who I love dearly and who has given me a great life. I guess I regret not being kinder to my parents as a teen. Story 23. There was this kid when I was 14. He was my schoolmate and was clearly in love with me. I didn't care much about him. Probably I was too young to think about guys. Then I left school. He continued texting me even years after I left school. But as I said, I didn't pay too much attention to him, sometimes also because he had a bit of an aggressive attitude towards me. Many years later, when I was 20, I looked him up on Facebook, and I was struck by the fact that he had really become handsome. I regret it because I realized only later how much I liked him and how much he liked me. I remember when he caressed the cuts I made on my wrists because I was depressed and I wanted to die. I never forgot him. Story 24. Not showing and telling my wife I loved her as much as I really do. I fell asleep for the past several years and put myself on cruise control, going through daily actions without being present. Story 25. Did a lot of cringy things for attention and had a lot of attention-seeking stunts that lasted way too far out of adolescence. All that stuff keeps me up at night just thinking about it. Story 26. Wishing I had spent more time with my younger brother, who was killed by a driver under the influence at age 15. That was 26 years ago, and it doesn't get easier. No goodbye, just gone. And needless to say, it destroyed my family. He died 1 week before I was taking him to his first concert. If you have siblings, hug and kiss them, even if they punch you in the face for it, and don't drive intoxicated or distracted. When someone dies in a preventable tragedy, the victim and all of what they could have become dies. This includes the death of their family, friends, and anyone who loved them. Story 27. My biggest regret in life is not taking more chances when I had the opportunity. There were moments where I hesitated to try something new or step out of my comfort zone, and looking back, I realized those experiences could have really shaped who I am today. It's a reminder to embrace opportunities when they come. Story 28. There's no need to regret things in life. That will just slowly poison your future with false, impossible dreams. Try to make the best out of your mess-ups. Story 29. During the height of the pandemic, I was working so much with 16-hour back-to-back shifts. My regret is not spending more time with my elderly beloved cat during what I didn't realize were the last 3 months of her life. Story 30. Speaking about Bitcoin, not my mistake, but 2 classmates of mine got 2 Bitcoin from something online. They hyped it up so much because, through Bitcoin, weed was so cheap. So they bought 2 grams of weed with 2 Bitcoin. Story 31. I cut someone off because I was so scared they were going to do the same to me. I had feelings for him and he did for me, but it was complicated. I know it probably would have ended in tears regardless. And at the time, I thought I was taking back control and stopping the hurt before it ever happened. But what if I was wrong? I felt like I chose to rip my own heart out. I'm not sure if he could have ever hurt me more than I hurt myself. Story 32. My wife nags me to bond with my dad as he has cancer. I did, but we didn't talk much. I message him from time to time so we can meet, but he doesn't answer. My aunt called me. He can't stand anymore. I went there, but he can barely speak. The week that I was supposed to stay to take care of him, he died. I'm using his phone right now. He tried calling me when he was still stronger, but he dialed my old number. We're not close. I lived alone for the majority of my life, even as a kid, but there are questions I could not ask. I did not feel sad when he died, but from time to time, reality hits me that he doesn't exist anymore. Story 33. Not telling a lovely young lady that I loved her, that there was someone who deeply cared about her. I will have to bear the pain of losing her every single day of my entire life. No, it is not fixable in this life. Story 34. Dropping out of high school. At the time, it felt like the only option due to health issues, but it really feels like I had to put my life on hold for a long time because of it, and I missed out on a lot of things I feel like most people wouldn't even think of as that important. I've only in the last 5 years managed to get my life back on track. I'm now 24. I'm not sure that I'd make a different decision based on my life now, mainly because of the amazing friends I have that I probably wouldn't otherwise, but I'll always be wondering what could have been.